Fire it up.
In search of answers, they turn to a flight simulator.
In terms of simulator testing, the one thing that it allows the investigators to do is to replicate what happened and understand what the crew would see or any other problems that they would face.
The captain just took over communications with the controller.
Yeah, okay.
Kathmandu, THAI311 confirmed.
Runway 02 available?
At this point, the captain is flying the aircraft, monitoring the instruments, and speaking to the controller, all on one of the steepest, most difficult descents in aviation.
Speed break in. Flap 15.
Speed break in, flap 15 selected.
Damn it. The flaps cannot be extended.
The flap issue is temporary, but time spent resolving it forces a delay. They can no longer make the straight-in landing.
Let's see. Okay, no. We are too high and too close for the approach. Only choice is to circle back and do another approach.
The controller hasn't given clearance. He keeps asking for the aircraft's altitude and distance from the airport.
Hang on, we are getting very close to the mountains, right? We need to make a turn soon.
The autopilot takes the plane to a selected heading in the shortest way possible. In this case, that would mean turning to the left.
The controller said there's traffic to the left,
Okay, there is a lot going on here right now.
and he still hasn't cleared you to go back to Romeo.
Needing to turn before he reaches the mountains north of Kathmandu, and with traffic on his left, the captain decides to override the autopilot.
We'll climb and turn to the right.
He can turn right by turning the heading knob incrementally in the same direction.
The airplane was turned most likely on by changing the heading bug. In other words, the captain has that option, he just turns a heading selector and the airplane will turn.
Watch your turn, you're starting to level off.
Oh, yeah, right.
The climb, turn, descend with an autopilot, that's tough to do. And he was doing all of that in the turn.
Okay, he's trying to fly south now and should straighten out.
Yes.
But he gets hit another call. The controller tells him to lower the altitude to 11,500 feet due to traffic in the area.
THAI311, descend to flight level 11,500.
It started to really become apparent that, you know what, with all the distractions, with all the workload that the captain had, that eventually, you know, the monkey climbed on his back and he took on the whole load of the operation.
Investigators are close to a breakthrough.
And this is the moment they should have stopped adjusting the heading.
The simulation gives them a sense of the mounting pressure in the Thai Airways cockpit. An extremely busy captain flying a challenging approach attempts an improvised right turn.
He's trying to do too many things at once. He's asking to go to a point. He's trying to fly the airplane on the autopilot. And he's starting to lose the 3D picture that he has in his head where he is.
Without realizing it, he turns the heading knob too far.
He turned it one too many times and did a full circle.
Each time he has to reach up and change his heading, he has to take his eyes off the ball. What's the one thing that we never do is take our eyes off the ball. Well, each time he reaches up to select a different button, he takes his eye off of the screen.
The captain took on too much himself, where the point he was distracted from his primary task, which is to navigate the airplane.
Investigators finally understand how the plane ended up heading in the wrong direction. But they still wonder why the crew didn't notice the mistake in time.
After he did the turn, they kept flying north for more than 5 minutes.
As the pilots head toward disaster, they struggle to input the Romeo waypoint. Their frustration with the flight computer should be a warning sign. Romeo is now behind them.
How could they not notice?
Why the Thai Airways crew failed to notice that they had turned their plane 360 degrees back towards the towering Himalayan mountains is one of the last mysteries investigators want to solve.
The team tried to understand as to why the crew continued to the north. What cues could they got, and why did they ignore those cues?
Take a look at this. There are no cardinal points on the compass.
A close look at the cockpit compass reveals a possible explanation. The instrument lacks the usual direction markers, NSEW, for north, south, east, and west.
It had just numbers. I think if there had been a big N on top of the compass the whole time, it might have made a difference.
When you're fully confident about where you're going, at what altitude, in what direction, when you think you have the mental picture, but yet you don't actually have the mental picture, you're situationally unaware of where you are.
You know, one thing still bugs me though. Why didn't the controller figure out where the plane was?
Just over 3 minutes before impact, the controller asks the captain for their distance from the airport.
THAI311, go ahead, your DME for Kathmandu.
We are 5 DME from Kathmandu.
The captain reports that he's 5 miles away.
The reported distance by the pilot just didn't make any sense to the controller.
It's been 5 minutes since the Thai captain reported turning back toward Romeo. If he's flying south, away from the airport, he should be about 25 miles away, not 5.
The controller can't see on his screen where this airplane's going. All he can do is have a picture in his mind that the airplane is here and it's still following a script. But guess what? The airplane's no longer following that script.
Confirm, 25 DME?
505.
The pilot, when the controller asked him about that, was very firmly said 505, and I think that had the effect of shutting down an inexperienced controller.
Roger, report over Romeo.
And forcing him to not probe deeper and ask any further questions. And that's a real shame, because I think in this event, it might have made all the difference in the world.
Are we going north?
We will turn back soon.
And then, only many miles north of the airport, at some point does the first officer say, "Hey, my display says I'm north of the airport." And he looks over and he says to the captain, he says, "We're north of the airport," but by then it's too late.
Turn back, turn back.
It's false. It's false.
He's totally locked into being in another place, and nothing that the first officer was going to say was going to change his perception of where he was.
It's an amazing thing how the mind, how powerful our minds are sometimes when we're convinced we're doing something, even if that something is totally wrong.
The crash of Flight 311 underscored the need for more advanced air traffic control technology at Nepal's Tripoli Airport.
In an environment like Kathmandu, radar was essential, and radar was put into Kathmandu, so this would not happen again.